Hi, I'm Mara Webster with In Creative Company, and thank you so much for tuning into one of our talks today. I'm so excited today to be joined by the wonderfully talented Jay Pharoah to talk all about his Netflix movie, Resort to Love, as well as many of his other creative endeavors. And the first thing I wanted to talk about in regards to that movie is working with Steven Sushida and the rest of the creative team, because I know that you had a director's session before getting cast in the movie and
Yes.
was interested in what it was that you felt that they really wanted to see from you as a performer, or what some of the character and scene details were that you were all working out during that session.
They wanted to see the dynamic of comedy and drama, and if I was able to I guess do the dramatic part. I mean, they know I could be funny or whatever, but could the character come off grounded? And I mean, grounded means real too. So does it come off real or is it disingenuous? And obviously, I passed the test. And working with Steven was and everybody, it was like a family. You know, it was actually troubling when we were there. It was really, everybody was scared because Steven's appendix had burst while we were filming. Yeah. So we're out there in a foreign country, and this man shooting footage, and then his appendix burst, and they're like, we think you need to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? So he went to the hospital. He was talking about his thing hurt, something was hurting. They found out his appendix burst. And he took a week and some change off. But we were there to try to like make him feel better. But um, it's gotta feel super arduous just to be in another country, and then your family's not around. Like I can only imagine. I mean, luckily I had my family. We had our families there. Like a lot of the people had their peoples there, but you know, we are we became a family out there. So he had everybody's support, and I think he's got a super keen eye for exactly what he wants. You know what I mean? He'll be like, okay, he's like, okay, sure, you can play a little bit. This is me doing an impression of him. I have an impression. It's like, okay, yeah, yeah, we can play a little bit, but yeah, as long as we bring it back to being grounded, yeah, 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 yeah. You can see that. You can tell that's family, because if I wouldn't be able to impersonate him if we weren't sitting there talking to each other. But I think he's super talented. I think everybody in the movie has their moment, and I think he did a great job of just putting everybody and casting exactly where people needed to be. And I think it was just a glorious and happy situation to work.
I also wanted to talk about a little about the different ways in which you create and shape characters, because when it comes to impressions, you've talked about how you tend to start with the physicality of a character.
Right.
But for a movie like this, what were the initial elements that you really wanted to shape in looking at the script and filling in the spaces between for yourself?
Just making those moments where it was me talking to Christina or me talking to Christiani, making those moments as real and as authentic as possible. And I did that by just imagining things that were happening in my own life, and kind of just imagining that person's face on their body, and like really locking into the scene. Especially if you watch the scene with me and Christina when we're having our kind of reconciliation moment, and and she's like, yo, seeing you with somebody else, I couldn't take it, like, just like the thought that it wasn't you. And I'm like, yo, I remember having those conversations, but not far as marriage, but just like relationship wise, like, yo, I couldn't, like, seeing you with another girl would drive me crazy and all of this. So that those moments right there, and being able to paint that vividly, it was really important for me to do it. And like I said, real life situations always help you, and that's when the tears come. You know what I mean? It's real, because it's like, yo, this person is, yo, it's hitting a real part of my spirit right now, and it's just overflowing out of my energy is just giving it off to you. So, and we play good off of each other. That was the good thing. When you have other people that are good in the scene with you, it's not hard to go where you need to go, because everybody's locked in. Everybody was professional. There wasn't anybody that was like It wasn't anybody that was like missing lines or anything like that. Like everybody came to work and we got it done. So yeah, but it was just, and Christiani, you know, when I was saying the vows to her, that's another one. I had never said vows before, but I'm like, I'm looking at this woman like, if this was the woman that I just said, forget everybody else for, how would I deliver this line to her? Oh man, would I be nervous? Yes, I would be nervous. Why would I be nervous? Because it's a huge decision for a man to be like, okay, everybody else is gone. You know what I mean? So bring that to life. Bring that to life with her. And I think it was, I don't know. You tell me. I think we did it. You know, I think it was good.
I think you did it. It worked. You also carry Jason as this character where he has made this commitment, he's engaged, he's there for his wedding, and yet there's still these internal struggles and reservations and holdups even before his ex shows up in the picture, because there's certain things that we learn that he hasn't fully communicated, like the fact that he hasn't told his fiance about his ex and the fact that they were engaged and they just broke up shortly before he met, and like how he left her, and all of those details that haven't been communicated between the two of them. Mm-hmm. And so how did you think about shaping his journey arc as a character, particularly in his current relationship, and bringing him to that space where he could stand up there and say those vows and really mean every aspect of it, whereas if he'd said those same words at the beginning of the movie, he wouldn't have actually been able to commit to them in the same way?
Well, the beautiful thing about the character, I felt, was that in the beginning of the movie, at least when he saw Christina, you know, he was all befuddled and he was messed up, and he was just, you know, he was like, oh man, I don't know what to do. So I took that as a cue to kind of play him back in that situation, like right as soon as it left off, like, okay, they just broke up, right? He's still mad. He's kind of he's a little childish right there. He's a little childish. So when he's dealing with her, he goes from being like on some child, like on a child vibe, to like manning up, and through the story, he starts growing up through the story. So at the end, when he is standing there delivering those vows, it's like he's decided himself to make this decision. He's manned up and made this decision, and it's the best for everybody. And he's totally sure now. And whereas before he was back and forth, there was no more back and forth. And I just wanted to make sure that you saw the growth of him from when he first saw Erica to when he and Beverly were right there and they're just locked in. And I think the difference between that was just the maturity thing. He had matured over even those couple of days that they were supposed to be on the island. You know, he had to grow up, because everybody has a situation where there's somebody, well, maybe not everybody, you know, but I've definitely been in situations where it's just like, there's no wrap up. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no closure. There's no closure. And, you know, it frustrates you because you're always thinking in your head, man, well, I don't even know. I don't know what happened. What if, and all of that. Nah, forget that. When you grow up and you're making decisions, all of that what if stuff, that goes out the window. You're like, yo, I'm doing this. I'm going to do it. I've decided to do it, and everybody's got to be okay with it, no matter how it affects other people out there. I'm making this decision, but I'm standing on it. And that's what a man is, standing by your decision. And that's what Caleb was trying to communicate to me. He was like, yo, that's what a man, just stand up, stand for your decision, stand up, make a decision, make a distinct decision, you know? So just showing that kid growing into a man. I really felt I did that. I don't know. I felt I did it, you know. Even the way he was moving sporadically in the beginning, and then when he was like more settled at the end, it was like he was just stepping. He put some shoes on. He put the big boy shoes on. He took off the Pokemons. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was important to me, just to have people clock that journey, because it was. You got somebody who you were in love with. You have somebody who you're about to marry, but you're not sure about because it's so quick. So it's like, what do you do? And you're getting hit with all of this at one time. You got to make a decision. You're forced to grow up. You know what I'm saying? It would be just like if two parents had kids and the parents died, and the oldest child, whatever, was stepping up and taking care of the younger one, or somebody else. It's like, or the uncle came in and was helping out. It's like, yo, putting on those shoes and walking in there confidently and saying, yeah, I'm making this decision, and it's life. That's what we got to do.
Yeah, and there's also one of the details that the story gives in his past relationship. He felt like he wasn't the priority, and he felt like he was constantly being overlooked. So there's that interesting internal journey that he's going on as well, in terms of having to reestablish and reconnect with his self-validation and his self-worth, to not be looking to someone else to fulfill that. And so how did you want to carry that internal journey? Because it's not something that's being spoken out loud throughout the film, and yet it's something that we still also see him going on as a journey.
Well, I felt it was important to make it to kind of draw that even more on the bridge with Christina. Of course, like you're saying, it wasn't throughout. You didn't find that out until a little bit later. But it's like, yeah, when you're dealing with somebody who is a singer, you got to understand they don't have anything else besides that, or somebody is doing something, but just that's making them money or whatever. That's the priority. And some people don't really know. Some people don't know how to deal with it. And of course, my character didn't know how to deal with it, and it made him run away. So I just thought that moment when we were talking outside of the karaoke spot, I just felt at that moment I needed to paint it to her, because obviously she didn't understand either what was happening. She didn't understand that she was making me feel like that. And I can say this personally. I've been in that situation. I've dated somebody who was in entertainment, and I felt like it was always that. It was never, even though I'm in entertainment as well, but it seemed like that always took precedence, and it kind of messed with me, So when I was talking to Christina, I was like, I just got to make sure that I paint this as vividly as possible, because I know she's watching. I know she's watching, but like you're saying, it's not sprinkled throughout it. So that moment when we did have together, one of the few moments that we would have in that movie, it was just important for me to take what had happened to me and just kind of just pour it out on the film. You know what I mean? And like, again, I think I did that.
I think you did it too. I also wanted to talk about some of the early advice that Charlie Murphy, who was a real mentor in your early career, gave you in relation to working on this project, in that Charlie was essentially saying to you, it's a really good thing to be nervous, because if you're not nervous, it means that you don't care about what you're working on. Right. And so for you, I was interested in what the evolution with that has been for you throughout your career. And as you've gotten more experience throughout your career, the way that those types of nerves that you deal with have shifted and evolved and changed in the way that you channel that energy. And particularly in working on this project, what that looked like and what the specific nerves of this project and this character and everything that it was asking from you were.
Right. Okay, so what I've noticed from when I was younger, and Charlie Murphy gave me the advice, man, it's saying being nervous is a good thing. You always need to be nervous. I still find that in my work today. It hasn't changed. It is the same nervousness I get because I want to do well. I want to do good. So same nerves I had on set every day working with these folks. Because I'm like, I want to bring the best quality and I want to bring my best self. And I know that 192 countries are going to be watching this. So it's preparation, making sure you are on point, making sure you're good, making sure that you and the person that you're in the scene with are having chemistry together, making sure that the lines sound really natural, making sure that there's looks, making sure there's little ticks and stuff you're paying attention to. So I didn't want to disappoint Christina Milian. I didn't want to disappoint Christina Milian. I was like, I had a crush on you when I was a kid, and look, even though we ain't rocking together, you got somebody. Look, I just want you to know that if I was your love interest, sure, it will be good. You know what I mean? So it was it was just all about bringing my best self. But I was nervous. Every day I got up, I was nervous before the scenes because like Charlie said, if you don't have that, you're nothing. So I needed that, and it helped, you know. But I mean, I still got a little bit of the chops off, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I was nervous. I wasn't nervous on that bridge. I wasn't. And I'm gonna tell you why. I'm not scared of heights. I'm not scared of heights. I ran across that bridge when we did I ran across it. Like, you know, so if I seemed scared, then that was some good acting. You know what I mean? That was some good freaking acting. But you always need to be nervous. A little nervousness just means you are still in tuned and aligned in your craft. And, you know, I get nervous in everything. I'm nervous now. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I also wanted to bring up, because you were talking there about how obviously that's a movie that's being seen by audiences in over 192 countries, going out on a platform like Netflix. And, you know, you've had this really interesting journey in your career because obviously one of the things that you are most well known for is comedic impressions. Yeah. But at the same time, every single time you do a new project, you're introducing yourself to new audiences as well. And, you know, particularly for something like this, there's so many international audiences in particular that this may be the first time that some people are meeting you on screen. Yeah. And is that something that you consciously think of in the fact that you do have this opportunity to really reshape and reinvent yourself, even though you have been tied to impressions a little bit, that taking on a role like this is such a unique and great opportunity to really have audiences see you in a more broader way because it's not everybody being tied to that idea already?
Right. Yes. I always kept that. I always kept in mind that the audiences that were going to be seeing me were new fans. There's a new opportunity for folks to get a chance to be familiar with my work. And you know, that's one of the reasons why I made sure I worked out. I had lost like 25, 27 pounds before we went to Mauritius because I didn't know. I was like, yo, am I gonna have to take my shirt off? Like, if I need to do that, I'm ready. You know what I mean? But I didn't get the shirtless scene. You know, it's all good. But look, I was ready, you know, but it's the abs were under the clothes. But I did, like I said, I had that thought, and I just wanted to make sure that I did put my best foot forward because a lot of people, like you're saying, they know me for comedic impressions, but some people right now are just like, oh, that's Jason King. Like I was at dinner the other night with my homeboy, and you know he had a lady with him, you know, and she kept staring at me, and I kept looking, like, you know, she was like, "Were you on a movie?" I was like, yeah, I've been on a few movies. She was like, Netflix? I was like, Resort to Love. She was like, Jason King? I said, yeah. See, she said Jason King. That made me feel great. I was like, yes. So people are getting familiar with that character and not the stigma that Jay Pharoah has that he just does impressions. So it's finally starting to break a little bit, you know. People calling me Jason King is crazy. Just like somebody calling me what is the DeAndre McDonald from 2 Minutes of Fame or something like that. It's just it makes me feel like I am breaking that impression code, and all of these new audiences, they are getting to see my chops in different ways where some people didn't even know. Some people might not even know I do impressions, and they look me up later. They're like, oh, he does impressions. He does impressions too. Yes, that's what we want. He does, and
he's Jason King.
Yes, Jason King does impressions too. That's what you want. He's good and dramatic, and he does impressions too. I had a lot of people hit me up on my Twitter and Instagram. They were like, yo, I didn't even know you could act like that. Like, I didn't know you could act. And I'm just like, well, I mean, I got a decade of work. I've been putting stuff out, man. I don't know where you've been, but every opportunity you get, every different project you get is a new opportunity for you to be exposed to another audience. That's why I always take Shakespeare's quote, illusion of the first time. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you've read lines 20 times over and over again. Every time you deliver it, make sure that you deliver it with such tenacity and such breadth and newness, because the crowd doesn't know. It's the same thing with being a comedian and doing the same jokes. You know, they can get boring if you feel like they're boring. But every night you have to feel like it's something different. There's always somebody who hasn't discovered you yet. So it is imperative that we always put our best foot forward. You know what I'm saying? It's real talk. We have to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And with that idea that, you know, if you're delivering the same comedy lines time over time, it still needs to feel like it's the first time. I wanted to talk about some of the influence of Eddie Murphy's special Delirious, because I love the way that you describe the impact of that and the fact that you can still sit down and watch that comedy special and you know where the jokes are coming, you know what the beats of it are, and yet it still makes you laugh. And so for your own comedy, when you're really mapping out and scripting out and working on the material, are you thinking about not just the audience in the room for the first time, but trying to think about how you really want that to continue playing and how you can really workshop it so that someone can have that same experience of watching it for the 10th time or the 20th time and still finding newness within it?
Evergreen. Evergreen is the name of the game. And yes, I do think about that. Okay. Of course, Delirious is, like I said, it's a full comedian's buffet. It has everything in it. It's got callbacks, it's got family stories, it's got impressions, experiences, racial humor, everything, just all piled up into one bottle, like a bottle of lightning in a bottle, whatever. A lightning in a bottle. Sorry, lightning in a bottle. So when I go on stage, and, you know, I do have that in the back of my mind because I'm always trying to be like, okay, now I can't say this. This joke ain't good enough. No, this ain't good enough, because in about 5 years, people ain't gonna care about this. No. What I want to do is I want to make some evergreen material. I want to have stuff that you can watch 20 years from now. You can still be like, that's funny because that's him. That's authentic to him. And I can relate to it because I've gone through this as well. You know, and I do that now. It is definitely helped me a lot with crafting jokes and material. I remember on my first, the first thing I did, first special, whatever. There was a lot of musical bits and current events that were happening at the time. And I look back and I'm like, man, that material, it doesn't hold up right now. Now, some elements might be whatever, but it doesn't hold up. So I have made it a concrete decision to just have everything be evergreen and just really pour me out on the stage. So there's nothing else you can look at. You know what I mean? It's like, oh God, okay, cool. And you can keep on laughing over years and years and years later, because the same things are going to happen generationally to other folks, and they're going to be able to relate to it. So yes, I do think about that. And I can't wait for this next one, these next two, baby. That's all I'm going to say.
Also, one of the other things that I always appreciate that you're very honest and open about is the moments of failure, particularly as a live performer, because inevitably, no matter how much you workshop material, there's always going to be the moment where something doesn't land the way that you anticipated, and you have to be ready to really pivot and shift in the moment a lot. And that's true whether you're performing live or whether you're on a movie set and you're in a scene and you're trying to find the essence and the truth and the emotion of that moment, and the beat isn't landing exactly as you want in that first take. And so how do you feel over time as a performer through all these different facets and outputs that you've really developed your skill set and your toolkit in terms of figuring out how to dig yourself out in different ways and how to be really malleable and adjustable in the moment?
I think it's just, how do you do that? I mean, nothing's better than experience, like going through it. I have definitely developed the skill of improv, as you've seen over the years. So adjusting and being able to hit it again the right way is very important, you know. But being able to adjust and being able to improv, or you might say something in the moment that will be so fantastic, right? And you're trying to get that moment again, and it's not caught on camera, and you're just wrecking your head around it. And it's like, am I going to keep beating myself up over this, or am I just going to try to read it again in a different way? It's like you got to be able to play, yo. And I think with everything that I've experienced, every tool sharpens the other one. So your stand-up tool sharpens your acting sharpens your stand-up. I rap too. So delivery, you know what I mean? Delivery, punchlines, learning how to do that. Maybe you got to pause a little bit before you say this one thing. And even in emotion, even if you're doing like dramatic stuff, you have to pause. Sometimes you need pauses because the audience has to see that you're processing something. It's the same way with being on stage. You know what I mean? You have to be able to paint it, and you got to process it. And people, when you process it, people can connect with you, you know? And like I said, every tool sharpens the other tool. So now I don't find it too difficult to be able to read a line in 50 different ways, because I'm like, okay, they're just gonna, whatever take the director sees he wants to get, he's gonna go ahead and get that. Or if I'm doing a joke, I might say it a little different, and it might be a little funnier this way. It might be really funny this way. And if I just miss one word, it's not gonna work the same way. So it's been learning and adjusting, but I feel like everything has come about in a great way. And now I'm multifaceted with all the tools. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one of those spaces of being really multifaceted, where everything's kind of come together for you, is I want to talk about Spitting Image, which is your latest music project.
Yes.
And was interested in how that really does pull together so many of these skill sets that you've developed in other spaces, because it's that same idea. You're really thinking about what's the story that I want to tell narratively in each of these songs, and you're delivering them as impressions. So you're there performing as Jay-Z, as Drake, as 50 Cent, as all these different musicians. So it's also pulling in that side of your skill set as well. And then you're thinking also in terms of the performance aspect, like what's the type of delivery that I want for this? You know, like you were saying, do I want to pause for a moment? Do I want to drop a word here? Do I want to change this element? And so how have you found that this particular music project has really been a utilization of all of those skills that you were just talking about having honed?
Well, like you're saying, on this project, I am without a doubt impersonating other people. But the charming part about it is that I'm rapping as myself as well. So being able to do that kind of shows people two different sides, you know? And being a comedian, you know, you can't help, some of the lines in there are funny. You know what I mean? I say some funny lines. And you got the Snitch song. I don't know if I can curse up here, so I'm not trying to curse, but you got the Snitch song, which is totally like comedy. And then you just have me on the rest of the project making real songs, but there's some funny punchlines here and there. So I just felt like, I really felt like when putting all these worlds together, I thought that it was going to open me up to be able to drop whatever I wanted afterwards, you know, because you are merging the worlds. And yes, I've learned, okay, cool, bam. Like, for instance, I did Jay-Z on Blackberry Molasses. Like, he's talking about some real stuff. I'm like, all right, this song is, what is the hook? Okay, the hook is Blackberry Molasses. Why do we live in our gashes? Why we get mad at the past shit, and why when we love it's not lasting. It's like, okay, so this is just, the hook is catering to regular life and how people go through stuff and the stress of every situation. So what's the most stressful thing that's happening right now with the Black community? Okay, we're losing a lot of our sons and daughters out here. That's what we're doing. So okay, Jay-Z's verse is gonna be Jay-Z's verse is going to talk about that a little bit, talk about his struggle, but shift into what's going on right now with the Black Lives Matter thing and everything. And my verse was like, yo, okay, this is what I went through. I got pain as well. Like I was depressed. I was about to take myself out of here, but I said I couldn't do that to my family. And a lot of people feel like that. So it's like, okay, connection, Black Lives Matter, connection, depression. Put them joints together. Bam. We got a song. Everybody can relate to it. T.I., you belong with me and T.I. Okay. Everybody's had somebody who's come back in their situation after their pockets done ran a little bit thin and tried to be like, hey, big head. Like, nah, forget that. Ain't gonna be no hey, big head. You know what I mean? Nah, this is too late. You can't go through this. So I had to spit what I went through, and then I took it from T.I.'s perspective. But it wasn't hard for T.I. because it's like, yo, he's just doing the hook, but he's talking trash. Find another fly you out. Sound like some stuff you should figure out. You know what I mean? So it was just important for me, man, to just, like I said, marry everything together. Show people that I can not only rap, but I can rap as other people. So it's really a dive into the cerebral, and then put out the best product and have the best beats. Have some bangers on there, because you need bangers. You don't want them to just be, I could have just had some rinky dink beats and then it could be trash, but these are good songs. I wanted to make a good project. I wanted to allow you to see the talent at the same time, be left with a good substantive project. That's like, so.
Well, I always absolutely love how interlaced all of your different creative projects are, whether it's this music project or whether it's Resort to Love. Yeah. And the fact that you are able to carry yourself into so many different types of spaces as a creative and as a performer. So thank you so much for talking to us about all of this, Jay.
No doubt.